Thank you for joining me. This is the Spiritual Princess. And today I wanted to do a video, 5 ways a spirit is communicating with you. Like, how would you know? And I thought, for me, it happens in so many different ways. But for the average person, I kind of wanted to list 5 ways that you would know. So that's what this video will be about today. And of course, I did ask my guides and angels to help me with the 5 ways. And this is what they said. They said number 1 would be through your dreams. Your loved ones can jump into your dreams because of the level of consciousness you are in while you're sleeping. So they say for a spirit, it's fairly easy to get into the state of your consciousness with you. And they'll show themselves or they'll say hello. And that's just to let you know they're okay and, they're still around. I think most people blow that off as a dream. But what it really is a visitation. So just know that's the number 1 way they will try to communicate with you is in your dreams. And the opposite side of that is it also leaves room for more sinister beings to jump in. They can show themselves, which causes a night terror. I've had that happen many times until I started doing prayers that, the angels do not allow that to happen to me and that they're with me at that time, so I'm protected. Because when you're sleeping, you're vulnerable. So that's why sometimes negative or dark beings will try to show themselves to you in a dream. And again, that's why protecting yourself, even while you're sleeping, is very important to do. Okay, number 2, they said a spirit will leave you something like, of course, you've heard of the penny from heaven. They will leave you a feather. I've had ladybugs show up in my house and there was no windows or doors open. Sometimes they'll use hummingbirds or butterflies or other kind of birds. I've seen them use dragonflies to come around. And those are only a few. I mean, they will use whatever they can. I've actually had a spirit of a relative that I know, one of our memories was catching frogs together when I was a kid. And so that's what they do to me. They show me frogs for whatever reason, will come jumping around if I'm outside and it's just unexpected. They're just all of a sudden there. So I always say, hey, hello. So if something like that happens to you, if you find a penny, a dime, I used to tell my son, if he found a dime or a nickel or even a quarter, I'm like, okay, so if you find a dime, that means 10 people in heaven are thinking about you right now. So you can play that game too with your kids. It's kind of fun. But it's going to be whatever resonates with you, whatever you find that makes you think of that person in spirit. That's just how they try to say hello or get your attention. Okay, number 3 is they'll leave a scent you recognize, like perfume from a grandma or mother, tobacco, either from a pipe, a cigar, a cigarette. I've had that one a lot. Or any kind of smell. It could even be food that reminds you of them. So if you had an old Italian grandmother and every time you walked into her house, you could smell her amazing cooking, that's what she might use to get your attention. So that's number 3. Number 4 is flickering lights or any other electronics going kind of haywire out of the blue. Mostly I've heard it about, with flickering lights. People have even called me and said, we were talking about somebody that had just passed away and all of a sudden the light started flickering. Do you think that was them? And I'm like, of course that was them. Yes, that's how they like to communicate and get your attention. And it could be with your TV. We used to have a TV that would go off and on, and the volume would turn up, the volume would turn down, the channels would change all by themselves. So That's just how spirits like to play around. Okay, so the fifth way is you'll have items move. Now, this could be tools, keys, something simple. I've had a pair of earrings go missing one time, and then I found them like a month later in a very odd position and spot. So they can do that, or they will throw things at you. So if you watch any of these haunted paranormal shows, and believe me, I'm a paranormal investigator as well. I've done it for years, but I use my ability to talk to them. I'm not just there to exploit them. But if they get angry, they will pick up little things, little rocks or anything, and throw it at you. And usually it's if you have a more aggressive spirit that's not happy. They're the ones that are throwing stuff at you because, they know you're not there to help them. You're just there to say, do tricks for us, show us you're here. But usually they do that if they're upset. So look for things that are getting moved around. Sometimes I've had to tell the spirits, hey, that's not funny, put it back. And then it ends up appearing later. But those are just some of the most common ways that a spirit will get your attention. There are so many other ways, like songs for one. Playing songs that mean something to you or can give you a message, pay attention to that. Sometimes I wake up with a song in my head, and I know all of us do that. But if you have a song that you wake up singing and you haven't heard it, and you just sing it a couple times in your mind again, try to find the message there. Like, who's giving you the message? There was a time when I was having a really, really bad day, or I was depressed, and I heard a song come on I can't say iPod because iPods don't even exist anymore, but it was on my phone. It was in my playlist, I guess. I don't know how it got there. I don't remember putting it there, but it was a song, and it started out like, everything's gonna be all right. And I thought, I needed that. That was a message. I really needed to hear that day. So I kept listening to it and singing it in my head. And then I realized that wasn't by accident. That's not a coincidence. That's spirit. Spirit works in the craziest ways to give you a message. And I needed that message at that time. Another one can be clouds. I have found the craziest messages looking at the clouds. So, sometimes you might see a cloud in the shape of a heart or shape of a dog. I literally saw one last summer, and I took a picture of it before it completely faded away. But I made my mom come outside because she was there, and I said, look at this cloud. And she couldn't believe what she was seeing either. It was a full-on man. You could see his face, his muscles, everything. And he had a halo around his head, like it was a giant god. It was the craziest thing. I was very excited to see that. Another way they've tried to get my attention is knocking on things. So that's a pretty common one. If you start hearing random knocking, that's something that you should pay attention to. That means it's a spirit. I went to a lady's house. She was in her 90s because the family kept saying that they thought kids were going around knocking on her walls and windows in the middle of the night. They installed security cameras. There were no kids. They never saw kids, and it kept happening. And then she had lights going off and on inside her home in the middle of the night and day. So I was called out there, and immediately I knew there was a man in the home in spirit, and this lady lived alone. And the one reason he told me that he was bothering her, he told me she was listening to she would put church shows on her TV all day and just let them play all day and all night. And this guy, I don't think he was a great person. What he was to me, what I saw was like he was an alcoholic, and he had died in a fire. like he had passed out, and then there was a fire, and that's what took him. So, of course, after this, I asked the lady, do you listen to church stuff all day? Oh, yeah. She said, I have it on my TV all day. And I went, oh, this is what's causing it. He didn't like it. And I said, do you know, in the home you're in, was there a home before this one? Like, did it burn down? And she said, absolutely. There was a home there before and it had burned down and a guy died. So I said, okay, this is who's bothering you. And I had to fight with him to get him to cross over and leave her alone because he didn't want to. But he eventually did. It took a couple tries, but he did. So that's something you do need to pay attention to, knocking, or whether it's on a door or window, walls. I mean, it can drive you crazy. Okay, so I'll quit telling you stories now. But if you're open to these experiences, they will happen more frequently to you. But if you're somebody who brushes them off, or, you ignored it, like a dream or whatever, or a song, then they won't keep trying because they know you're not open to that experience. So if you can, when you think something's odd or out of place, or you find a penny, or just thank your loved ones, just say thank you. And, maybe they'll try to do more things to make you believe or see that they're really not gone. They are all around us all day, every day. I've had them pull my toes. I was at a hotel in Denver, and we ended up leaving really early in the morning because a spirit was in there messing with me. It would pull each of my toes. So I pulled my feet up like I was in a fetal position, thinking, what the hell is pulling my toes? And then I felt a really sharp poke in the back, like, don't ignore me. So, and that was really before I guess this was a long time ago. So it was before I embraced my mediumship. I'm sure that spirit was just looking for help, but it freaked us out at the time I was married. And I'm like, we're out of here. Let's go. And we packed our stuff and left. So, they'll do what they can to get your attention. So I will leave comments open on this video if you want to share what a spirit has done to you to get your attention. I would love to hear your stories. I have so many. I need to write another book. So have a great day or night. Love and light.